is the Google Pixel 9a, the next iteration of Google's, like, it's kind of a legendary line of
Oh yeah,
budget phones.
yeah.
Budget, mid-range.
I think so. I would say budget, at least with Pixels. If you're looking at just their lineup, maybe just mainstream smartphones, very budget.
Okay, so budget for the Pixel line, and I actually think there's a lot to like here.
I agree.
Yeah, for a $499 price tag. So let's get into it.
But yeah, I mean, we're looking at a very, very nice budget phone from Google. And if you haven't noticed, if you haven't seen this phone, the one thing that changed a lot when it comes to this generation is the design. And you may hate it, you may love it, you may really love it just because it's different, but we're looking at an aluminum frame, plastic back, very soft feeling. And if anything, it kind of throws you off because it doesn't feel very premium, but it's not a bad thing just because it does sit very well, even though the phone is very thick. You also have what I consider the biggest curveball. It's the change of the design of the camera visor. Because
Yep.
if you're familiar with Google Pixels, the visor in the back, it's a signature design, and it's a signature look for Pixels for now years. And I'm not saying I don't like this, but it's definitely taking me some time to get used to it just because I'm so used to coming to a Pixel looking for that visor.
Yeah.
So when it's not there, it kind of throws you off. But I've kind of forced myself to treat it as if it was its own thing, and not a Pixel phone that's not related to Pixel, but just like a new generation of Pixels. And I kind of dig it. Like, I think it's growing on me just because the flush back, it's so smooth, and I don't know, like, it's a great feeling phone.
I have to say, I feel like it looks better in person than it does on the website.
I agree.
Because
Yeah.
remember when it dropped on the website, I sent you screenshots.
Right.
And I remember he texted me back and he was like, "That is not a good looking phone."
Yeah, I was like, what is that?
Yeah, yeah. And then he gets it. We have it in hand, like we've been using it for a little bit, and he actually ends up digging the design, right?
Yeah.
Now the cool part about it, well, I don't want to say cool part because I'm not gonna lie, I do miss the camera visor. That is just like synonymous with Pixels in my mind, but it does actually provide some functionality,
Yeah.
right? So I think on smartphones in general, we all just want the best possible battery life. I think that especially applies to like mid-range budget phones or whatever. Like battery life is super important.
Big time.
So Google kind of made it functional. It's slightly thicker. They essentially eliminated the camera bump, as you can see. But the Pixel 9a houses the biggest battery ever put into a Pixel phone at 5,100 milliamp hours.
Can we clap for Google for achieving this?
Yeah. Now, you combine that with an internal like Tensor G4, which I think does a good job of performance
Right.
and battery life. This is
It is a beast.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is a battery monster, like, and so it's very, very good. Like, you're not going to get battery anxiety using a device like this whatsoever.
And I think it's such a cool take that they were able to do this on a phone that they knew they could sacrifice the fancy, thin, premium, slim design, because if they were to make, let's say, the 9 Pro super thick, you know that there's going to be a lot of people in the fan base that are not going to be a fan of that just because they like the thinner phones. But because this is considered their budget phone, a thicker phone is not the end of the world, and it's not even just that it's thicker, it's giving you something great, which is the biggest battery.
And it still feels
So,
good in the hand. Like, it doesn't feel overly thick whenever
it's
you
not
hold it.
bad. And if anything, this is how thick phones were like 5 years ago, so
Yeah.
it's not terrible.
Yeah, no, it still feels really good in the hand. And the cool part is, even though it comes in at that $500 price tag, you still have wireless charging, plastic back. It's not fast wireless charging, but you have wireless charging, and you have an IP68 water and dust resistance rating.
You're not sacrificing
The
anything.
only thing you're missing is reverse wireless charging, but I mean,
You're gonna be fine.
is that really a feature these days? While we're on the topic of design, let's talk about display for a second, because I think there's good and there's also not bad, but like
Yeah.
just kind of like meh, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like the display on the 9A mimics the display on the 9 very closely. 6.3 inches, 1080p display, 120 hertz refresh rate,
Yeah.
off by default. Off by default. So if you get the phone, make sure you turn it on.
Yeah.
in
Don't
the
freak out
settings.
and think it's broken, please.
Yeah. And 2700 nits peak max brightness.
Yeah.
So all of those kind of match up like very, very closely to the 9. Now, if you really want to get into like the finer details, the 9 has an AMOLED display.
Right.
The 9A has a POLED display. The 9A also has a slightly lower contrast ratio, 1
Right.
million to 1 versus 2 million to 1.
Right.
But I think for me, really the one thing you should know about this display is that it does kind of have some chunky bezels around the edges.
I agree.
Like I feel like there are some, like look at the CMF phone for example. Like there are some phones out there that are a couple $100 cheaper than this phone, and they're not using the chunky bezels anymore. It's not like a deal breaker. It's really not too bad, but compared to what you see on a lot of other smartphones, even some phones that are cheaper than this one, I'm just like, it's 2025. I feel like larger bezels in the display should probably be gone for even the mid-range phones.
No, and I agree. And I don't know if it's one of those things that they're having to do the thicker bezels because of the type of display they're using, because it is cost effective. That display, it is cheaper to manufacture compared to like AMOLED or any other display. But even then, like they do look kind of...
No, it's a good looking display.
Yeah, it is. It is a very sharp, very colorful display.
It's a good looking
but
display.
The bezels throw you off for sure, especially because if you're coming from a phone where the bezels are super thin, like other smartphones nowadays, it is gonna feel like a step down. But it's part of the process. It's part of the package that they have. Now, one thing that they did not sacrifice on, it's the processing power, because you have the Google Tensor G4, which is the same chip on the Google 9 series. We're looking at the 9 and the 9 Pro, which is, it's great. I honestly expected them to do like a base smaller version, or maybe like an older version of the Pixel chip.
Pull an Apple.
But I thought they would, and I'm impressed, and I'm glad they didn't.
They did not.
I'm very happy.
Yeah.
But you have the performance. The performance is not going to be a sacrifice. You're not going to feel any difference. And if anything, the only difference that you're going to have on a phone like this one compared to the 9 or the 9 Pro, it's the amount of RAM that it comes with. This phone comes with 8 gigs of RAM, where the 9 is at 12. Now, it doesn't mean that you're sacrificing features such as Gemini or AI. If anything, you have everything that the 9 and the 9 Pro have.
Yeah.
All the AI features, all the Gemini features, the software experience with its processing power, it's all there. You're not missing out on anything. But of course, favorite part of the video, I'm sure is your favorite part of the video too, the selfie camera.
What?
I'm joking.
Oh.
The back camera.
Okay.
We're looking at a dual camera system with a 48 megapixel wide camera and a 13 megapixel ultra wide, no telephoto. Seems like be the pattern that you don't have a telephoto lens, and if it's not a pro model, but if anything, it's not bad. It's unique because we were looking at the camera, we looked at the specs when it came out, we tested the camera, and on paper, it's a completely new camera system. It is different than the 9, it's different than the 8 or the 8A, and it's newer because it has more features like image optimization and stabilization, but the resolution is lower. So it's not like you're having a bad camera system that's older. No, it's new and it's great, and it's, if anything, updated, but you're also not going to be rocking a top of the line super advanced camera system like the 9 Pro or the Samsung Galaxy Ultra or an iPhone 16 Pro. And if anything, I hope you're not expecting that, especially for this price range. I really hope that you know that getting a phone like this, it is going to come with a more simple, basic camera system that still does a really good job, that if you were to take it and not compare it to anything else, you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I think, like, what do you think about the pictures? Like, pretty standard Pixel stuff in terms of, like, image processing and stuff like that?
I think they're very realistic. I think when you take pictures with a Pixel, they're very similar to what your eyes see, unless you're colorblind. But they're gonna be really good results. And I mean, it's a combination of both hardware and what we know of Google's software when it comes to image processing. So it is a good experience for sure. But yeah, it's just, I mean, we're looking at an age where all smartphones are within this like top tier camera system, where the new smartphone comes out and is barely better than the last one just because there's not a lot to improve on. And this one's within that range, but it is just in the mid to lower tier of that spectrum, if you want to explain it that way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm pretty simple. Like, as long as I can point, shoot, look at photo, and I'm like, that's a good photo, I like that.
Yeah.
Passes for me. And I think the $500 Pixel 9a has a very, very passable camera.
Oh, you'll get that for sure.
Yeah, but I think that does it.
I think it does.
For the 9a, right? This is actually a really solid phone. And I actually really like the price, because the iPhone 16e,
yeah,
that was...
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. Apple's attempt at the budget phone.
That's crazy. And that's what I was trying to get to earlier, is like, yeah, maybe 500 is not just throwaway money, right? It's not pocket change.
Yeah.
But in this market, it is very budget friendly just
Yeah.
because you look at other companies and they're nowhere close to one the price, but two what they're offering with that price.
Yeah.
So it is a well packaged phone for sure, and I give it props.
I like Google's strategy in terms of pricing because the 9A starts at $499, which it's still far enough away from the 9 that you could justify getting this instead
Right.
of saying something like, well, just pay a couple $100 extra more and get the 9.
Right.
Right? It's $499 versus $799. So
Right.
that is a pretty significant difference if you wanted to get the more premium
Right.
smartphone depending on your preferences and stuff like that. Now it is $499 for 128 gigs. It's $599 for 256. Even then,
It's
I don't
not
think
bad
it's
at all.
bad.
Yeah.
The phone does cap at 256, so you only have those two storage options, right? 4 colors, black, white, pretty standard. Peony, which is pink, like I think we see that on the 9 series as well. And then this purplish, I like this color.
I like it too.
Yeah, this like purplish blue color called Iris. I think if you're gonna go with a 9A, this is probably the color to go with.
If you've seen Solo Leveling, drop it in the comments, please.
I still haven't seen that.
And I've told you many times. You
Yeah,
gotta.
he has. He
Yeah.
has. But anyways, that is the Pixel 9A. If you're new here, consider hitting the like and subscribe button down below.
Please do.
If you're
Let
already
us know.
subscribed and watching, we love you.
I mean it.
I do too.
Till the next one.
Yep. Peace.